victory over the Wildcats, swept them this series, and now it's up to the Wildcats, steeped in history, to come in here and steal game one on the road. Peter Hooley, Leonard Copeland, we're here all thanks to basketball.com.au, the home of Aussie hoops. It quite literally does not get better than this.
It doesn't. I mean, we all want finals basketball to be played. We've had a big break since NBL games. We're right in the middle of the action, both teams walking up. I can't wait for this.
21 days of no basketball. They're ready to go. I'm sure they're tired of playing against each other.
Beware the starving dog is what they're saying about Melbourne United, and again tomorrow the Illawarra Hawks. Now, before this thing all gets started, we got to say, who is the championship prediction? Because it's all about to be on the line. You say it now. Who is your championship prediction?
Oh, I've been on Perth since the start of the preseason. I've reminded you all over and over. They're going to have to get the
have
job.
you now?
Oh, hang on.
Have you now? Because my man Peter Hooley, I happen to be reading a certain newspaper during the week where you said, I'm going to give you one more chance. Your preseason pick was the Wildcats, was it? Because, Your Honour, please present the evidence. Right there, Peter Hooley picking the Sydney Kings on NBL.com.au to win the championship. I have labelled you many things, and I never thought I would label you a liar.
That is an absolute stitch up and a fallacy. I'm going to go back to overtime at the start when I had that. Words mean more from my mouth than they do on paper.
Oh, I'll tell you what, your word is mud right now, according to everyone in the NBL sphere. We welcome in Dean Vickerman, head coach of Melbourne United. You've just come into a bit of a domestic here. You've come in at a very, very tough time.
I'm glad you guys are going at each other.
Mate, you have been here plenty of times before. 14-0 in game one of the playoffs. It's a remarkable stat. Is it you? Is it the playing group? How do you rev these guys up to continuously get them to fire off the start?
You know, it was, as a stat that I didn't know about. So, no, look, I think obviously there's a long break, and you know, did we get it right? We'll probably see in the first 5 minutes. But we had competitive scrimmages. We got players healthy and as ready to go as we can be.
What do you get up to with such a long break? Because we know it was reported the Bryce days almost just trying to focus on which you have to slow down the MVP. But how do you recreate a game like scrimmage? Can you do it, or do you just have to do the best you can?
No, you do the best you can. We had 8 versus 8. We had referees come in. We played 36-minute games, so everyone got it, you know, pretty close to the minutes that they were going to play in games. But we played cricket. We did some other things to have some fun and make sure we're enjoying this time of year.
Dean, now everyone's talking about stopping Cotton. Doolittle and Pender have been on fire the last couple of games. I'm sure you spoke to your guys about that. How do you shut those guys down?
Yeah, you know, we started with the Bryce days and how we create a crowd, but that allows those guys to have a little bit more room, and they're so talented. And I think even in the Southeast game, Bryce was really good at just letting those other guys get involved and then picking his moments. So we'll have to continue to look at the crowd where it's too much and make sure we give the respect to those guys.
Dino, you've been here plenty of times, as Felix alluded to. Do you still get the same kind of nerves, the anxiousness leading up to it all these years later, or does it help knowing you've got guys like Chris Golding, Matthew Dellavedova, who have been here, done it on the biggest stage?
Yeah, I think the two guys that you spoke about have been fantastic over these couple of weeks, and their attention to detail puts me at ease a little bit that, you know, they're growing, continually growing as leaders and really driving this one right now.
The Bryce Cotton stuff, Dean. Shea Ely, Defensive Player of the Year. He gets all the credit right now for stopping Bryce Cotton, but does some of it belong on your shoulders as well? Is there any that you guys have stopped him in 2 games this year? Surely you could take a bit of the credit yourself.
No, we got an elite coaching staff. You know, this is Jacob Chance's scout. Obviously, spent time with Bryce and the Wildcats and stuff, but he's doing an elite job, and there's, you know, great buy-in from all our coaches. There's a big individual scout with this team. You know, Doolittle went for 30+ on us, you know. So, yeah, there's a lot of individual scouts that are important in this game.
And do you know, when Perth score 100 points, they're 14-2. Are you going to have an up-tempo game, or are you trying to slow that ball down tonight?
Yeah, we want to run on the opportunity. You know, I think the game we played over there, we thought, oh, well, there's a high-paced game, but actually we did a really good job in transition, but we got to the late shot clock about as equal amount of times as it was the first 8, second 8, and last 8, so we're going to make sure that we make them play some defense as well.
What's the last message when you're getting to a semi-final series where you know you've got home court advantage, you know you play 2 days later, potentially a game 3? What's that final thing you say to the group before you send them out?
Yeah, for us it was, you know, can we get them off the boards? You know, you have all your scouts, and both teams are going to be scouted well, but who wins the scramble, who wins that loose ball, you know, can you find guys in the scramble? So I think that was the biggest message coming out of it.
Well, Dean, we really appreciate your time. We know it's been a tough week for you personally and the club with everything that's happened, of course. So we wish you all the best tonight, and hopefully for your sake, come out with a win.
Yeah, no, I got a couple of little messages for KB on the shoes tonight. So, yeah, shout out to Paulie and Ari and all the guys in Japan that did a great job of helping us get through that one.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean. Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm Dean Vickerman, I'm looking down and up and down the bench, and I'm seeing one guy who shines when the bright lights turn on, and that is none other than CG43. You just get the feeling. Wildcats, big game. This has him written all over it, Pete.
Well, he loves playing against Perth. I mean, you look at his statistics there. That number's obviously inflated by his 46-point outburst earlier in the season. But you're right, it's something about big games. And again, I go back to 2018. It was Game 5 of the Championship Series we played, and I couldn't be more nervous. And I remember looking at him, cool, calm, and collected. He said, "Why are you nervous?" I said, "Aren't you?" And he said, "No, I'm always ready for this." And he went out and put that game to bed in the first quarter. This is what Perth have to watch. Because he's a big game player, even if you do a good job in the first 3 quarters, if the game is close, he can put it to bed in 2 minutes in the fourth. You've got to stay locked in, much like they're going to have to do that to Bryce Cotton. He's a game breaker. We've seen it time and time again. They'll be aware of that.
And look, he's one of those guys where he needs the ball, but he needs the playing time as well. You need him on the floor. I know Dean's been playing him 20 to 25 minutes per game. If I'm Dean Vickerman, I got him on the floor as long as he wants to be on the floor.
Bryce Cotton, yet again the MVP. We got plenty to pick from when we talk about which was his best, but arguably, statistically, Leonard, this is his best MVP season.
Absolutely, averaging 29 points a game. But the thing about it is, he's had 4 or 5 40-pointers, and he's getting better with age. The guy's unstoppable. People talk about the best player in the league. By far, he's the best player in the league, and he knows it, but he continues to get better and better, and he gets his players involved.
I mean, talking about 5-time MVPs, it should be at least 6, maybe even 7. He's been unbelievable since touching down here in the NBL. We're so grateful to have him on. I know we keep talking about the free agency, what's going to happen next, but let's just appreciate greatness while we have it, because this man's jersey's going to be in the rafters one day. He's Hall of Famer, no doubt about it, but he's still got so much left in the tank. It's fascinating to watch every night.
Well, the question for all the Perth Wildcats, does it stop here? Does it stop in the final? But where does he rank all-time, Leonard Copeland? I know you got a little bit of bias in this one.
Yeah, you're right. I'm biased 100%. I played with that guy, Andrew Gaze, and I played with him for 15 seasons. And the thing about Andrew, I seen him play. I seen him come to practice before training, after training. He put the time in, played 48 minutes a game, but he averaged 44 points in a season. He's unbelievable, the kind of work that he put in.
88 times he scored between 40 and 49. So when he's doing that, what are you doing?
Well, I'm standing back enjoying the show. I'm standing back enjoying the show.
Hey, don't get that up there without
Leonard,
that.
all I'm going to say is there is a jersey hanging in the rafters, and it doesn't say Von Hoff, and it doesn't say Hooley, so pay our respects. You were right next to him, great man. I hope you always remember that you are right up there with the greats in this league. Now, if you're going to stop Bryce Cotton...
He's that.
Oh, there we go, there we go. I'll tell you what, that is a good man right there. Everybody up on that list.
How much you pay for that, cameraman?
This club, you see this club steeped in so much history when you go back to the Melbourne Tigers days. It's really amazing. Both of the Bluebuds going head-to-head here. But if you were to stop Bryce Cotton and you said you could pick one player in the league to do it, it's Shea Ili.
It is, and again, it's the way that he does his work early and often, and we spoke about this on Overtime when the way other elite defenders go about it. He doesn't use his hands as much as he uses his body. He's very, very physical, make no mistake about that, but you have a look at the numbers. Woo! Melbourne have kept him in check, but it's not just Shea Ili. You look at some of the things that they go about. When he runs him off screens or he's even sitting down, they've got guys who are loading up trying to show a crowd, but I just have the feeling, guys, because of how much we've spoken about it, he's set for a big one. Right here, he does so well at forcing guys to be illegal screens, fighting over, and even this, do your work early. You know what, we're going to have that little flare pick, no, backdoor, make someone else beat you. This is just what Shea Ili does, but as we said, he has the trust in if he gets clipped on a screen or if he gets beat, which is very rare, someone's going to have his back.
Absolutely, and Dean spoke about getting a crowd. If he does get past Shea Ili, he's got to run into somebody else. And then when you give Shea Ili that break, you got Dellavedova, who's a strong beast as well on the defensive end, who can help to shut him down.
Well, that's the thing. We've spoken time and time about Shea Ili. Dellavedova is one of the guys that almost gets forgotten about because Shea's the Defensive Player of the Year. We forget he's probably part of the reason to help win him that award, because if you look at the title numbers of these guys, he's still guarding them for a lot of possessions in those games.
For sure, and it is a team effort. I'm sure you ask Shea Ili, he'll say the same thing. But really, when it comes down to it, if you want to stop Bryce Cotton, there's only 2 ways you can do it. One is to not let him touch the ball, and the other one is to hope he misses. Because when it comes down to it, you've just got to do the very best you can, and it's going to be up to the great man himself whether he makes or misses it. That's what greatness does.
Could you imagine being in practice and having Dellavedova and Shea Ely guarding you every day? It'd be a fight every day for me. I'd be fighting every day.
You know what? I would have not gone to practice or got kicked off the team, which I did. And I'll tell you what.
Which one, both?
Here we are
Oh,
right
both.
now, both. But let's head down courtside to Kelsey Brown, who caught up with Christian Doolittle a little earlier.
Christian, thank you so much for your time. 15 days between your last game. Can you talk us through the preparation for this one? What's a week look like with John really heading into a semi-final series?
You know, with the extra time off, you know, we got extra days off, but then we sprinkled in a lot of competitions to keep us, you know, ready for the game, try to keep us in shape and everything. And then it was just a lot of film and preparation for this game. And so, you know, I'm ready to play, and I know my team is too.
Second year in the NBL, second semi-final series. Last year, you couldn't get through to the Champs Series. How do you feel coming into this one?
I feel pretty good. You know, being my second year, I know I'm more comfortable with the league and everything, but I feel like us losing last year has brought us together and more prepared for this moment tonight.
You've been more aggressive offensively this season. Has that been a mindset going into games? You have some of your best outings against Melbourne. Has that been a mindset for you in the second year of the NBL?
I mean, it's kind of, yeah, but it's been in the flow of what we do. Understanding that they're going to try to take away BC at all costs. So, you know, I take it upon myself to step up for the team and try to win the game.
Defensive Player of the Year for the Wildcats this year, announced just last week. What's your role tonight? Who's the matchup that you have, and what's your job defensively?
I'll be starting off on Jack White, but, you know, throughout the course of the game, you know, that's liable to change. You know, I frequently guard all 5 positions, so depending on, you know, who got it going is who I'm going to be guarding.
I want to ask about the depth of Perth as well. We hear a lot about the depth of Melbourne United, but I think Perth have a lot of depth as well. What do you guys think about the depth between the two teams?
I feel like we got a lot of players who can play, especially because throughout this year we had injuries, and so we were without our full roster then almost the entire year, and so that created opportunities for people to step up and show what they can do to contribute to a win. And so, you know, I feel like it gives JR a lot of people he can use tonight, depending on how the game goes.
We can't wait to see this series. All the best.
Thank you.
Whatever happened to Christian Doolittle during his injury period that he just decided, you know what, I'm also a dominant offensive player, is the reason this team is winning so many games?
Absolutely. I said that last week. He must have had a meeting with John Riley, and Riley told him, you got the green light. He's shooting 51% from the field. He's knocking down threes. He's so aggressive on the offensive end. It's making him a better team.
It's all about that supporting cast. Coach alluded to it. Christian Doolittle is probably the head of that, along with Keanu Pinder. But when you've got all focus on Bryce Cotton, this is what you can do. You can get off the hook because you're not going to have the best defenders going at you. So I think Christian Doolittle's locked in and understood that he can be a mismatch himself. He's incredibly strong. He uses his physique. We saw that in the warm-ups, mind you. But his numbers have been phenomenal. Loves playing against Melbourne.
That's the worrying thing for Melbourne United. You got Keanu Pinder, you got Doolittle, and we're talking a whole lot about Bryce Cotton. It is the supporting cast that you got to worry about.
And this is what I'm talking about. And again, you got to talk about Leonard Copeland right here. When all the focus is on Gazy, you get the second, third best defenders, and you get to go off. Have a look at all these defenders on Bryce Cotton. They continue to watch him, so people are backdooring, much like Coach did back in the day.
The only problem is Daisy never passed the ball like that.
Have a look at this. They got 3 guys who draw on Bryce Cotton, kick out to Windler. You get to be aggressive and attack, so that's exactly what happens. That's why my man's jersey's up there. He got the 3rd and 4th best defender.
And the most amazing thing about Bryce Cotton, for the best scorer in the league, he's also one of the most willing passers when the time comes. So we are not far away from tipping off semi-final game 1. Bryce Cotton, the MVP, versus the Defensive Player of the Year in Shea Ely. I reckon Chris Golding might have a bit to say about tip-off, not far away.
playing against Perth, they're a team that is always on the edge of success. You know, they're a really well-built club, they're a well-built team, so when you go up against an opposition like that, you know, you've got to be at your best or you're going to lose.
Unbelievable! Single seconds left. Knew it was in the minute left his fingers.
For as long as I've been in the league, it's always been tough games. We definitely bring the best out of each other. So we have each other's number, I feel. And it just depends on, I guess, who's hitting a couple more shots, who's going to win the game.
Golden catch and shoot. That's more conventional. And very good. Cotton with the two.
You know, and it starts with him. You know, firstly, how can we contain or, you know, just limit Bryce's opportunities? Such a great shooter. And then there's a work ethic that he doesn't stop moving. He just keeps, you know, sprinting to the next play.
Cotton again. This is an incredible performance.
So they're a very hard team to beat, you know, and when they need guys to step up, you know, them guys step up. And it's always like within the system too, you know, it's not like anyone's going out of the system.
Quick pass inside, there he is again. He's Dellavedova, slots another three. Nice. Clark got his man up in the air. Good execution.
Yeah, had some hard-fought battles over the years. I can't see that stopping for the foreseeable future.
Rich history between these two teams who have certainly met in their fair share of finals there. It is equal. Melbourne and Perth, of course, we don't even include all the way back in the Melbourne Tigers days, back when Leonard Copeland was ruling the kingdom, along with his good friend in Andrew Gaze. Welcome back in, all thanks to basketball.com.au. We welcome in Kelsey Brown. We're going to turn our attention just quickly to tomorrow night. We're all going to be on a flight out there, Illawarra taking on Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Will there be someone else on that flight who is probably more pivotal than us?
Yes, well, firstly, can I say honoured to join the boys' crew that are heading for the pre-games. I feel honoured right now. But yes, there is some news out of Southeast Melbourne. We know that they head to Illawarra tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. game. Derek Walton Jr. is back. He has not played since January 11th. He is such an integral part of their lineup. Josh King came out and said we don't want to hide it. He's going to be back in the lineup. But the big question for me is he hasn't played since January 11. He's a star. We absolutely know that, Pete Hawley. But there's going to be movement around what they have to do now. How do they find time for him? They've been humming in the last month or so. What does this look like?
Well, it's going to be interesting because he's played very well against the Hawks this season as well. And Josh King last week at the open media said, I'm not going to hide it. He's playing, but on overtime, a bit more reserved, saying we're going to have to kind of just warm him up a little bit. It is a soft tissue injury. You don't want to go too hard. But Owen Foxwell's played great. Angus Glover's played well. But when you're a superstar, a championship winner, a championship MVP, you just find your way.
We spoke to Derek Rucker on NBL Now, Leonard. He said that he might play 20-25 minutes. If you were the coach, what are you playing him for?
Well, look, like you said, you got guys like Foxwell who's playing great. You ease him into it. You give him a couple of minutes in that first quarter, see how it goes. But you don't want him taking those minutes away from those guys that are playing great basketball.
The second big bit of news is Taran Armstrong. I don't think I'm breaking anything here. It's been all along social media. Taran Armstrong, amazing season for the Cairns Taipans. He has just signed a two-way deal with the Golden State Warriors. There was so much talk about where this guy was going to end up after his stellar career season at Cairns. But for me, it's been all about the way he's led this team. He's a young guy. He's made the choice to stay in the NBL. And for me, it was also what he had to say about the NBL. He said, this competition is a super translatable competition to the NBL. The pace of the game, the way it's played, it's great preparation for players like Taran Armstrong to head into the NBA.
Well, it is, and I tell you what, we spoke about it. I've been in the trenches on Twitter backing up Taran Armstrong because he's an NBA talent. He's improved on everything they asked for. He gets a well-deserved opportunity, but as he knows, the hard work is only just beginning.
And you know what? Taran Armstrong, he's the sort of guy that slow work off the on-ball. You play in the NBA, my man. That sort of game works well in the NBA.
Well, that is awesome news for Taran White. What is also awesome news for the game tonight is that I spoke to Jack White pre-game. I had the honour of talking to him. I asked him about his niggles. He's had some back injuries, he's had some calf injuries throughout the year, but he said he is absolutely ready and raring to go. Absolutely no niggles. That 3-week break has helped them, but also, I also spoke to Marcus Lee, and he said, we just cannot wait to play someone other than ourselves.
Kelsey Brown, thank you all. Thanks to basketball.com.au. Peter Hawley reckons Jack White's an X-factor. He's a superstar. If he scores 25 and 10 tonight, do not be surprised. Plenty more coming up after the break.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
He's starting to get that look in the eye. It takes a certain type of player to be knocking down these sorts of shots. Golding's on a tear all of a sudden. There's 2 more, 10 in the corner. Golding, high degree of difficulty. He's in his bag. 6 triples. The Gladiator has got John Cain Coliseum rocking. Here's 7 made threes for Chris Golding. This is extraordinary. The anticipation in the building. Unbelievable. CG 46.
Virtually any other season, we would be talking about 46 points as if it was a massive outlier. But this year, the points have flowed pretty much like none other.
It's been unbelievable, an offensive explosion, which is why I'm fascinated to see what happens tonight. Can offense win a championship, or does defense hold weight?
I've always said offense wins championships. If you can put the ball in the hole, you're going to win a championship, brother. Trust me.
Well, if we are talking offense, we are talking these two right now. Some of the biggest highlights this season have come from Bryce Cotton and Chris Golding, and you just get the feeling that both of them are big game players. We've said it time and time before. You've said it. You played with Chris Golding. You look over there, and he's the one you trust. Bryce Cotton, none of us have played with him, but we've all been lucky enough to watch what he does, and you just get the feeling he knows that Shea Illy is the one that they say can stop him. What's he going to say about it? We'll see. But right now, we'll take a quick pause for the national anthem.
Sensational.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
A beautiful rendition of the national anthem. John Cain Arena is packed. The energy is palpable. All we've got left is the coach's whiteboard. Leonard, we had to scrap the bold prediction because we know damn well you can't read it from all the way over here. So where are you playing with the whiteboard?
Now listen, if I'm John Rillie, I want to control the tempo. I want to push the ball because when they score 100 points, they're 14-2. So I'm getting the ball up the floor. I'm getting everybody involved. Also, I got Doolittle and Pender trying to penetrate and get to the basket to get Jack White into foul trouble. Because if, like Pete said, if Jack White's if non-existent, they probably pretty much going to win the game.
There was no chance you weren't reading that too, how far away that monitor is. No, you did well. You remembered it. On the other side, where you talk about, we've spoken about defensively, they're going to have to lock in, and that is showing a crowd. We show the highlights. It's not just Shea Illy's job. It's everybody behind him to show a crowd and make them realise it's not just Bryce Cotton, Windler, Doolittle. You've got to play through 5 defenders, and the other side is attack the paint. They've got incredible shooters. We know that. Ian Clark, Chris Golding. But attack the paint, put heat on the rim, and I'll tell you what, the energy in here, where everyone's excited to have NBL hoops back.
Bryce Cotton famously said, same movie, different actors. Well, unfortunately for Bryce, the actor in this movie, well, the villain has won the last 2 times. Of course, he didn't play in that 3rd matchup. Your predictions on how Bryce Cotton reacts, how he changes his game to escape the shackles of Shea Illy.
I tell you what, with all the talk, everybody's been locked in on the spotlight between Bryce and Shea Illy. I'm telling you now, I've got that feeling in me, Copes. we're going to see 30+.
Listen, Bryce Cotton will take it easy. He'll play within the system. He'll get guys involved early, and he'll explode in the fourth quarter.
There we go. Yeah, I thought you were sitting on the fence, and then you gave us something towards the end. Do you expect this one to go to 3 games? How much weight do you put on winning this first home game for Melbourne?
I mean, it's huge. I know Perth would be going home, but Melbourne United have had a lot of success in the jungle of late. So this game is really, really big for the Perth Wildcats. And every time you get one in your belt, you feel good about yourselves. But my biggest hope, or what I'm praying for, is that the whistle, we don't hear it in the first quarter and first second. I want to see hard screens. I want to see some physical defense. Let the superstars go at it.
Listen to me. If Perth come out and play the way they played the last 2 or 3 weeks, then Melbourne are in trouble. I'm calling it now because those guys have been on fire, and I've been there. That's a long trip, bro.
So you're saying, Leonard, if Melbourne lose this game, Perth is sitting in a very, very pretty spot.
I reckon if Melbourne loses his first game, you got to go with Perth.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fans are packed in here. Melbourne United, they have had the wood on the Perth Wildcats, whether it be final series, whether it be home and away season. Shea Ili has had the wood over Bryce Cotton, the MVP. Who comes out on top? It goes a long way to taking out the series. Game 1 of the semi-finals starts now.
Melbourne United, a team with a legacy built on greatness.
And United, they stand. Melbourne United are the NBL 21 champions.
And they have the Gladiator.
The Gladiator has got John Cain Coliseum rocket. A once-in-a-generation shooter. He cannot miss.
One of the most lethal shooters the league has ever seen.
Chris Golding, take a bow.
Surrounded by championship DNA.
Down and over for one. Spectacular. And the finish from Ian Clark.
Can United hang another banner? Red Army, let me hear you. That's right, King Cotton went on a scoring run for the ages. The King wants another ring, but it's not a one-man show.
Oh my goodness!
This team is ready to conquer. This team is built for a championship. Let's get it on. It's Melbourne and Perth, and it starts now.
It is a heavyweight title fight of the highest magnitude. 2 of the biggest names in the National Basketball League and 2 of the most successful organisations of the modern era go head-to-head in a 3-game semi-final brawl to the end. And that matchup right there is going to have a massive say on what the end result looks like. The 5-time MVP, the scoring machine Bryce Cotton, up against the Defensive Player of the Year, ×2, Shea Ili. Hello and welcome wherever you are. Great to have your company for Game 1 of Melbourne United taking on the Perth Wildcats. I'm Jack Heverin, championship winners alongside me and Damon Lowry and the GOAT Andrew Gaze. Oh, we love this time of year, gentlemen. We love this time of year.
You called it, Jack, man. It's a heavyweight title fight, and styles make fights. We got Melbourne United in the blue corner. They're going to come out and play some hard-nosed D in the red corner. We got a high-octane Perth Wildcats. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't wait for it.
No, this is exciting, and this is what you play the whole season for, and there is an atmosphere and a buzz going on in this venue that is, it brings back memories, and it brings back envy for what the opportunity both these teams have and the players, the experience that they're going to have over the next week or so will be one that they'll remember their entire lives. You look at the Perth Wildcats, they've been up and down through phases, but across, in general, pretty consistent. And Melbourne United, well, to say that they've had the Perth Wildcats number, that is an understatement. But statistically, Jack, the Perth Wildcats are due. So who knows what we could see tonight, but this man here, Bryce Cotton, he's a star in every sense of the word. And the thing about it is, you talk about Shea Ili, he's the sort of guy you need 2 or 3 guys aware of what he's doing, or else he'll beat you. If this is just a one-on-one contest, advantage Bryce Cotton.
100%. Bryce averaging 29 points on the regular season. He will hand you your ass if you fall asleep for a second. So you got to make sure. Sorry, Drew, I'm fired up. Shea Ili, he's the one, though. Defensive Player of the Year, but it's not by himself. He's going to have some help. He's going to get some Dellavedova action. Jack White might jump out on some switches. They got to make sure that Bryce doesn't get loose in transition.
That bottom stat's a really interesting one. Bryce averages less than double figures against Melbourne this season. Has averaged double or more against every other team. There's something about that. There's something about this man, Drewy, Shea Ili, that when he locks in defensively, he makes the opposition's day an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I love everything about him. His intensity when he's both on the ball and off the ball is relentless. He's got size, so he can be really physical with his opponents, and he just can good old-fashioned move your feet, keep people in front, and got fantastic hands. But having said that, he is more effective because what's around him. Matthew Dellavedova is his star defender in his own right. He's got good rim protection. That certainly helps his cause.
Damon, we were here in round 8 when the two teams met, and we saw CG43 unload 46 points against the Perth Wildcats. He started slowly in that game, and then he was completely unconscious after that.
And that's the thing with CG, he's combustible at any given time. He knows exactly who he is as a sniper. He don't care. He's almost like a shooting sociopath, Jack. He don't care if he misses his first couple. He's gonna keep letting them fly. And Dean Vickerman and the rest of his teammates encourage Chris to hunt for threes.
Well, the pickup points are going to be critical for both the Perth Wildcats and Melbourne United. You need to pick up Chris Goulding real early. And if he's out there in transition, anywhere over the centre line and he's in range, and of course with Bryce, how you can contain him and take away the transition. We look at the starting fives, and to me, that is an outstanding defensive unit. It needs to be on display here, and probably the only little glitch that you can see in it from time to time, the scoring they can dry up for little patches. So that's what the Perth Wildcats have to do. They've got to expose them, and they've got a decent starting lineup themselves.
And what an opportunity, Damon. We take a look at their starting lineup. Cotton, Windler, Doolittle, Pinder. Those stars speak for themselves, but Ben Henschel is one of the best young basketballers in Australia, starting tonight in a semi-final.
That's incredible. You go from last season, he didn't play a whole lot. He wasn't in John Riddick's rotation. He has stepped up major this season, and he's got full belief in himself, looking for a big game out of Benny.
Nico Fernandez, Michael Aylen, and Chris Reed, the three officials in charge of game 1 of this semi-final series. And here's Goulding in the opening 12 seconds.
Drewy, you can't fall asleep on the first possession.
Well, he didn't fall asleep. They're locking and trailing, and he just wasn't able to stay on his hip. They got Doolittle on him. We thought he was going to take Jack White. It might have just been for that first possession, but there's another unfortunate start for the Wildcats. So they've had a real minor breakdown on the defensive end, and Goulding hits a 3, and Dylan Windler with the turnover.
Teams will play again on Saturday in Perth, and then if required, we're back here next Tuesday night for game 3 of this series. Goulding deep on that 3.
We saw what they did. There's a back pick, and that's what led to the switch with getting Doolittle off White.
Henschel unsuccessful on his first look for Perth. Both teams will let it fly from long range. They are more than happy to pull the trigger. Down for Shea Ili.
In and out for Shea, but he's having career scoring type numbers this season as Chris Goulding nearly comes up with a steal. Drewy, I have liked Shea's scoring in transition all season. They don't really run any plays for him, but he's so opportunistic. He's gonna get double figures. He just figures out a way to do it.
Yeah, my word, and the tempo they play at, they really encourage him to push the ball. And yeah, his perimeter game has gotten better, as you mentioned, career high in points this season, but his attack on the rim is really where he can excel, particularly in transition when you're not going up against an established defense.
Rob Lowe with the block there. Counter Pinder turns the corner and finishes with Perth's opening points of the night.
Deandre woke up and chose violence, everybody. He is ultra aggressive, coming off of a massive game where he had 35, only missed 2 shots.
Career high, David, in that one, 35 in modest minutes.
Dellavedova created some space between he and Henschel. It's a 3-point lead early to Melbourne United. Game 1 of the semi-final series. Windler drives, and that'll be an offensive foul.
Johnny Riddick's checking to see if he is in a restricted.
Foul is red 3, offensive foul.
He was certainly there in time. have a look at his feet.
Yeah, his heels.
Can't see the heel.
I saw the heels. Then he copped one in the minerals. Johnny's going to challenge this one.
So we've got a flop warning on Ben Henschel for the play at the other end, by the way, where Dellavedova scored.
Time out! Ray!
Now, the Perth assistants are talking about this.
I'm asking, you've got a timeout though?
They're still debating this now.
They want to see the
I
tape.
can't remember that you're allowed to have this long to make a decision.
Well, he'd already called the timeout. John was just stalling on whether he's going to challenge to buy some time. And I think he's going to win that, isn't he? It looked like wasn't outside the restricted area. And he took off from, the penetration comes from the 45 beyond the three-point line. So to me, now the heel was up, whether it was actually on the line.
I think he's going to win it. Now, I'm not one for challenging in the first quarter.
You need to be 100% sure you're going to win.
100, Drewy, like 2 minutes into the game.
And I reckon he was only about 95. Let's have a look. Now, that right heel is on the line. I think he got... Yeah, I just...
So just confirming this is not a coach's challenge. John really
it's not.
He waited until the very last second and decided against it, so instead has burnt an early timeout here. This is a really interesting little passage.
I mean, if you're going to call the timeout, you might as well challenge it.
Well, not if you don't think you're going to win.
Yeah, but we're sitting here with us.
It's easy for us because we've seen the replay 28 times. John really sitting over there, and my man with the video, he's just sweating bullets because he hasn't got every single angle and he can't push the buttons quick enough. So you can understand the hesitation when you might need that challenge a little later on.
Fair enough.
So an early timeout used.
If we're going to call flop warnings, we have to officiate everything, like coming out of timeouts. I got you.
And Deli is going to take advantage of this matchup every chance he gets. He's going to test Ben Henschel's physicality.
He's certainly a talented player at the offensive end, Ben Henschel, but this is a test for him defensively. Jack White screaming for the ball in the low block. Low kicks it at Illy in the corner. His second look is also left a little short. Keanu Pinder with the rebound for the Wildcats. Averages best part of 7 of those across the season. Back down low, the spin and the finish, that was nice.
He's too quick, Drewy. His footwork, that spin move, that's lightning.
Kelsey Brown, you were listening in the timeout.
Well, it's very simple from John, really. He said more locked in on Chris Golding and to push the pace, as you can see here with Bryce. He said, if you don't have the ball, get to the corners and let's spread the floor.
Yeah, and there's just a defensive transition. Chris Golding didn't step over the halfway line on that last possession and misses one that you're normally expecting to make. But as you're watching this, try and keep your vision on Bryce Cotton when he's off the ball, because Shea Illy, he is foregoing any team defensive principles. He is just locked in. You see him at the top of your screen on the three-point line. Now, normally there you're hedging more towards the split line, but he is just all in, as you have to be, on Bryce Cotton.
It's basically a game of 4-on-4, isn't it, at that end of the floor? Golding drives, gets that to drop. He started well in game 1.
Well, that's what Chris can do. You sell out to take away his 3-ball. He's happy to get on the rim. He can finish in there.
Doolittle thought about stepping out instead. Settles in the mid-range. That's normally his spot from there. Shooting it at 51% from the field across the season.
Got to really be relatively happy with some of the looks they're getting. They've just missed a few, and down this end, that's one that they've got to come up with. The second chance opportunities, and Delhi's off to a good start.
Ty Webster comes to the scorer's table, getting ready to check in. Keanu Pinder aggressive. Thought he was fouled. Melbourne pushed the issue. Illy with a handoff to White. This is a handy lead early in game 1.
Great job by Shea Illy exploring that ball screen. They got to get Jack White involved like that. Some easy ones, then Jack might just step out, hit some threes later.
Get back to that Bryce matchup with Shea Illy in a moment, Drewy. Doolittle trying to muscle his way in. John really thought there was a foul, but at the moment, it's Melbourne shooting 5 of 10 from the field, who are enjoying the early going. Golding can't add to it. Rebound by the 5-time MVP, Bryce Cotton. Doolittle over the top of Dellavedova. Just settles things down a bit for the visitors.
They're not going to panic.
You might have heard Dean Vickerman in the background attack him. And they want to put as much pressure on the defense of Bryce Cotton as possible, try and wear him out down this end of the floor as well. But Melbourne United, these first 5 minutes, they've done an outstanding job in the defensive transition, because the Perth Wildcats, they're trying to fly it down there every single opportunity, and they've forced them into more of a half-court game.
Doolittle backs it back out. Kyle Bowen, the rebound, the West Australian. His second season with Melbourne United. He's finished the season in really impressive fashion. Flynn Cameron with some first quarter minutes. It's a 13-6 lead.
They got some misuse of this ball screen, Drury. That's 2 times they've given up little floaters. Dylan Windler steps back. No bueno.
Golding in attack mode at the other end. Draws an early foul.
See, Johnny really has come in with Ty Webster for Ben Hinchell, because Matthew Dellavedova does not respect Ben Hinchell's physicality, his young strength. So Ty comes in to provide a little bit more muscle on the defensive end.
Well, he does, but I think that they'll be looking for a little help at both ends of the floor from Ty Webster. And Chris Golding, this is dangerous when you've got an elite shooter who's coming off a good break. The legs are fresh, and he's coming out, and he's already got the 7 points. Confidence is high. Scorers, whether it's Bryce, Chris, or great scorers, they become a whole lot more dangerous when they get off to a good start and they ease the anxiety of their individual score talent.
No rest for Cotton. Shaylee off the floor, and that puts Matthew Dellavedova onto the defensive task of guarding the MVP. Doolittle in the mid-range. That's more comfortable.
Yeah, that's who he is. That's who he's been all season. Leonard Copeland called it in the pregame. He said that Bryce was happy to facilitate early. He knows when it's time to take over, but right now it's like he's letting the rest of his troops eat a little bit. It's Marcus Lee shooting about 80% down there, Drewy.
Yeah. Well, he sees off Shaylee, and then he gets Matthew Dellavedova, which is just as tough to score against. Gee.
Almost travelled, couldn't score. Dellavedova looks up ahead, and Webster reaching in.
High down here. Red zero.
Looks up his first foul. Let's have another look.
Good hands by Kyle Bowen, held his own.
Yeah, it is, and this one here is, there you see it, just the contact with the midsection. The reach in.
What's concerning you most if you're Perth at the moment, Damon?
Right now, Bryce hasn't taken, he's only got the 1 shot. Now, yes, he's being unselfish, but right now they're playing 4-on-4 basically as Kyle Bowen tees one off his short. Other than that, I mean, they're giving up a couple of breakdowns, but this one he does. Transition. Can't relax for a second.
Finally got away from Dellavedova. Bryce Cotton with his first field goal of the night. Tanner Krebs, part of his second unit for Melbourne United, with an early knockdown. Their lead is 10. Melbourne have won all 3 meetings between the 2 teams across the course of this NBL25 season. There's Krebs in the right place at the right time again.
All the 50-50 balls are going United's way.
Give off to Bowen, swatted out of there by the long levers of David Aquera.
Drury, we've got 2 Belmont Bruins on the court at the same time. Has that ever happened in the National Basketball League?
With
Dylan Windler and Ian Clark.
That's right. And Ian Clark's one that they're hoping to get that punch back in him. He's had a up and down season, been a little bit more inconsistent as he's been throughout his career, but he's the scoring input that they need.
Knock back out to Doolittle. Smart from Windler. Shot clock now at 7 for David Aquera. Catch and shoot against his former team. And that's enough for Dean Vickerman to want to have a chat about things.
13 points in 8 minutes, basically. Perth Wildcats with Bryce only having the 2. David Aquera, this is what's good about the way John really has incorporated these guys throughout the season. A few minutes here, a few minutes there. He just started David Aquera, as we saw that in the replay there, and David's got confidence now. Johnny really has faith put him on the court.
To Tangerine timeout, Kelsey Brown caught up with both John Rillie and Jack White pre-game.
I wouldn't say like I love the matchup per se, but you know, I think we sort of bring the best out of each other. I think we're well suited for each other, and you know, they always bring the best out of us, that's for sure. As a competitor, you love these sort of environments, you know, playoffs, but you know, a team that you know is going to push us. They've had a great regular season, and you know, I think the confidence we have from our performances against them during the regular season will fare well for us tonight, hopefully. But you know, we can't just expect them to you know, not continue to improve, and for us to rely on the fact that we've won before against them to just come in here and get the win. We need to play our game and play at a high level to get it done.
Look, we're coming in full of confidence. We played well at the end of the season. We've played in postseason action already. So, look, it's just going to be a great series all around, and we'll see which superstars step up.
They've won their last 5 away games, the Perth Wildcats, coming into tonight. So when John Rillie says they arrive in Melbourne full of confidence, he means it.
And they just, like he said, they just came off a postseason game. They ran up 122 points on Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, so they're comfortable playing playoff basketball already.
Krebs, Bowen, Clark, Lee, and this man, Shea out there for Melbourne United right now. Webster, Doolittle, Cotton, Aquera, and Elijah Pepper for the Wildcats.
Pepper fresh off of his boomer stint the other night in Gippsland. Drew, the scoring looks a little bit too easy though for the United.
Yeah, allowing a straight line drive for the layup, that's a worrying sign. And the way the game's been played, they're allowing a lot of contact. Doolittle with the mid-range, and the thing too I like is Aquera coming on here, and it may be a little thing, but the fact that he's been with the Boomers for a couple of games, although they were big games with big margins, he's come out and he's shown a bit of energy around the rim, and also he knocked down that 3. So it could be a blessing that he was part of that program.
Shot clock at 3 here for Melbourne. Clark will have to get creative. Good defensive set from the Wildcats.
Was it ever by time Webster wore him like a suit.
Elijah Pepper straight into the game. Couldn't access Doolittle, who wanted that ball in the air. Picked off by Krebs. 22-15. As we head towards quarter time. Illy running the point for Melbourne United. Elijah Pepper reaching in. He's whistled for the foul.
Johnny really trying to steal a few minutes for Elijah Pepper out there. A turnover, a foul. This is Elijah Pepper's first, well, second playoff game. Did he get a DNP in game 1 in Southeast Melbourne?
I think he got
a minute 26.
Yeah,
26.
A little bit of junk time, but again, he's also part of the Boomers, and boy, he went out and wasn't shy. He was getting us some shots, led the team in field goal attempts in the 2 games that the Australian team played against Indonesia and Thailand.
Illy goes 1 of 2. Shot clock switched off. The Wildcats with the last look of this first quarter. Bryce Cotton cannot get open. Shea Illy is all over him, but you can't deny greatness. And in the shadows of quarter time, Bryce Cotton creates something. Jack White at the other end can't create something of his own. 23-17 as these two feel themselves out. It's quarter time in the semi-final series.
You're back with the Hungry Jacks NBL. Semi-finals are well and truly underway. A dominant first term for Melbourne United. They lead the Perth Wildcats 23-17. So much chat from John Rillie in their quarter time break around getting Bryce Cotton free, Shea Ili and Matthew Dellavedova. They kept him to 4 points early, but we know that you can't keep a superstar down, can you, Gazy?
No, you certainly can't, and I think they've got to do a better job of setting some screen for him off the ball. But go ahead and just run a middle on ball and have him spray a three-pointer up, and it's nothing but the bottom of the net. So more screening to try and wear down Shea Ili as well. And also that last one before the first quarter, the backdoor cut with the way Shea's playing him, that'd be an option as well as Ian Clark knocks down one. And he is a genuine X-factor, I think, for the remainder of the season. The guy steps out of bounds. But Ian Clark, they find a way to unlock him. It does make a big difference to Melbourne United.
Yeah, when Chris is off the floor, Ian Clark's kind of got to assume those sniper responsibilities while Shea facilitates. But good job by Johnny really putting Bryce to the point. That way he can draw some pick and rolls and get himself involved. That first quarter only having 3 shots, that's not going to cut it.
Here is Ian Clark. Andrew Gaze asked for him to get more involved, and that'll help.
He's been aggressive. He's come out and he's been given the ultra green light. Get things going.
Webster, speaking of being aggressive, Ty Webster's took it straight at Rob Lowe and scores.
That's what Ty does best. That and getting in transition. Getting downhill is a big, strong guard.
Here's Jack White left open for 3. 32% across the season from that spot.
So they're collapsing in on that penetration. He's wide open. A couple of times he's been wide open, Jack White. Gee whiz, Ty Webster.
Yeah.
He's come out and been a big bonus on the offensive end.
Ty's belief in himself is unmatched. He don't care what the shooting percentages say. It's the boy from Memphis. Mid-range Memphis.
At the start to this second quarter, we've been going 2 minutes. Buckets everywhere for both teams. Ili looking to push the tempo. Lowe couldn't cash in from underneath. Elijah Pepper on the move for the Wildcats. Tanner Krebs concedes the foul.
That's a good foul. Looked like that some Melbourne United players that had been over. They're taking some deep breaths, so it's a good foul just to slow things down. Dylan Windler comes back in, and I had to check this stat twice. It is quite extraordinary. Dylan Windler, when on the floor, is a plus 212. When he's off the floor, he's minus 30. The biggest differential of any player in the competition. So we talk about Bryce. Got to find a way to get Dylan Windler going as well.
Chris Doolittle starting to take the responsibility on. Has 8 points in this game.
And that's what you want to do. You want to bring Rob Lowe away from the basket. Perth got these mobile. Look at Shady. Transition. Refs might have let one go. That's all right.
Doolittle pulls up for 3. He can't score.
Leave it.
All the bigs for Perth, Doolittle, Keanu Pinder, they want to attack Rob Lowe or Marcus Lee off the dribble from the perimeter. And that is Christian Doolittle's strength. And Rob Lowe is doing a decent job kind of containing him, but he's giving up mid-range shots.
Now, John, this is where the chess match comes in, because Shea Ili's checked out of the game while Bryce is out. And he was on there for like a minute. Now that Matthew Dellavedova's back in there, I'd be getting Bryce back in pretty quickly to give him some time on the floor where he doesn't have to deal with Shea Ili.
Swampy inbound. Perth got away with it. Ben Henschel and 1.
Ooh, the youngster. The youngster in transition with the Western Australian Euro.
The Western Australian Euro.
Western Australian.
What part of the world is that?
Somewhere over there.
He's told us that he's better than a lottery pick, Ben Henschel. He's told us that there should be a spot in the NBA draft and in the NBA for him in the future. What a great opportunity to prove everyone right.
And we don't see that a lot from Australian players that have that level of self-confidence and prepared to let the world know their own self-confidence. I like it, and hopefully, for his sake, it translates into a good performance throughout this series, because there's no doubt there's been a lot of NBA guys come out to Australia to have a look at him.
11-6-4 in his first playoff game, Benny Hitchell.
Ian Clark knows exactly what it takes at this time of the year.
Well, they've got a problem right now. Ian Clark's getting hold of it. And both off the dribble and from the perimeter, he's got 9 points already on 4 of 6 shooting.
Webster in attack mode again.
That was good hands too by Ian Clark. I'm surprised Keanu pinned the Drury. Keanu goes 100% against Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Let's have a look at Shaley's knee.
Hey, and he stepped on Dylan's foot.
A bit of ankle as well. You can see there he's sitting at the end of the Melbourne United bench with some ice. Kelsey will keep a pretty close eye on that one.
Oh, he's going up. How you want it? How do you want it? He wasn't gonna let Ben Hitchell get that stop. Chris is a committed scorer.
Yeah, with all those, the herky-jerky and all that fake action, just Ben Hitchell needs a bit more ball pressure. Hand on the ball, still got that shot off relatively easy.
9 points for Chris Goulding. Frustration starting to build for John Rillie at the other end. Melbourne making a little run in this second quarter. Goulding with a hand in the face. Hitchell did okay. Ty Webster at the top of the key. Dylan Windler still trying to find a way to get involved in the game.
One way to get involved is to shoot the ball. Dylan's a little bit too tentative. Okay. Shot clock running down.
Maybe not from there. Goulding threw a bullet inside. Nice work by Windler. Puts it away. Doolittle over the top of Marcus Lee. Likes the look of that matchup. Christian Doolittle has got 10 points as the game's leading scorer.
Those are layups. Those are mid-range jumpers. They layups for Christian Doolittle. They got a problem.
Nice pass again by Matthew Dellavedova. He's one of the best at throwing those in-traffic alley-oops, and Marcus Lee probably missed one he surely should make most of the time. He's way up ahead around the rim and just tried to throw it down a little too hard.
We saw him practicing those during before the
We did, and Leonard Copeland mentioned it. There has been a change in an attitude with Christian Doolittle as he checks out of the game. He is so aggressive on the offensive end, much needed. He's already had 10 field goal attempts, 5 of 10 from the field. For his 10 points, looked really sharp.
Copes and Felix and Hools will be back at halftime. Thanks to basketball.com.au. Geez, they were in good form pre-game, the lads.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up, because you're going to see them. They're going to be here all week.
Like cats on hot tin roofs, they were. Bryce Cotton. Devastating.
That's just offensive fitness to run 100 miles an hour, stop on a dime, and pull up the three.
And Clark continues to give them problems, Drewy, as you mentioned.
Yeah, he's getting open too, and I like the staggered screen. That's more action I think Perth could look at for Windler, as Keanu Pinder right down the middle, but Dean Vickerman throws his arm out and almost dislocates his shoulder in disgust at that last possession. Not happy with that one to start with. Bryce Cotton, not a whole lot you can do about it. And the drop-off pass down the middle. Dean Vickerman wants to have a chat about it.
So Perth down by 4 in this Tangerine timeout. Pre-game, Kelsey Brown caught up with the big man in the middle for Melbourne United, Marcus Lee.
Won a ring last year, but didn't get to play in that last series. What are your feelings coming into the game tonight? You're in another semi-final series. How are you feeling?
Feels good that I've been here before. But like always, you got to just play your game like you always play. There's nothing new. That's something Dean stresses is play your game. There's nothing you have to add. You don't have to be Superman, but just do what you need to do, and we'll all follow suit.
4:31 remaining before half-time. Big crowd tonight here at John Cain Arena as well. Our Pump by Reebok seats. There's Lakota Johnson, who's in the house tonight. Olivia Molly Rogers is also here as well. And a lot of people wanted tickets to this game, Damon Lowry.
Yeah, if you're not here, I don't know where else you should be. This is where it's going down. Now here's the stat that's jumping out to me, Jack. I spend a lot of time in the streets, Jack. And the streets talk, and they say that Perth, when they are balling and Bryce is going nuts, they get a friendly whistle. Them dudes have shot 1 free throw in a quarter and a half and still only trail by 4.
No, that's true. The other thing that they'd be alert of, they've only had 4 assists in the game. So a lot of it's coming off the dribble and just perhaps more effort on the ball movement. Ian Clark is just on a mission right now.
He's got the greenest of green lights.
He has got an incredible...
And that catches a foot. Kelsey Brown, Shea Illy getting ready to check back in.
He is, he's fine, guys. It was just a knock to the shin, chuck some ice on that, and he seems good to go now. But they did ask for a few other people to step up and guard Bryce Cotton as well. It's not just down to Shea Illy. They said they were happy on the offensive end, and you said that Ian Clark got the green light. Dean Vickerman said, go for your life, Ian Clark.
That's the message that every player wants from a coach. Keanu Pinder makes it a 2-point game.
He's too quick. His footwork is too quick for every big for Melbourne United. Just a matter if Cannon's going to shoot the ball or not. To be down 2 on the road without Bryce going completely ham, you're in a good spot.
Golding misses. Lee tips it back in. Contested rebound.
Yeah, you can't go to sleep on him. That time, Keanu Pinder had his eyes on the ball. Forgot about his box-out responsibilities.
Veteran Jesse Wagstaff is out there. There's this gifted youngster, Ben Henschel. First to Pinder. Lee almost dares him to shoot the 3 ball. Strong rebound by Whitlam.
It's going to be a decision now. That's Chris Golding's second personal foul. Only 3 minutes remaining. Dean wants to risk picking up his third. Chris has been around a long time. He's a smart player, and I dare say Dean Vickerman would trust him.
A little over 3 minutes before halftime. Melbourne have led all night long.
Well, maybe that
trust factor might have took a dip.
And that is now a significant problem for Melbourne.
Well, he didn't even wait for Dean to make a decision. He subbed himself out of the game. Right then, Chris Golding.
Ooh, foul? I didn't see it. I mean, I saw Jesse go down.
He's just trying to take a moment to calm himself down. He's upset. I like the effort that he was putting in on the defensive end, just trying to fight through. And that's a pivotal moment in this game. Like I said, he's a smart player. I don't think he'll let it bother him, but we certainly won't see him for the remaining 3 minutes and 13 seconds in the second period.
I mean, you want to fight through a screen that Jesse Wagstaff sets, you know what's going to happen. You're gonna put yourself at the mercy of the officials because Jesse is going down.
So as Jesse Wagstaff shoots his second, Chris Golding has gone down the tunnel and they've closed the door behind him as he vents his frustration.
They're moving furniture by himself.
He's back now. Tipping those chairs aren't going to be in the same spot that they were pre-game, David. The Wildcats are clawing their way back.
Drury, he loved that matchup, Deli. That's no good.
Well, I'm concerned if I'm John, really, because Henschel, they're taking advantage of him down low, and I'm starting to think it's by design, not just by accident. They're going to make him see if he can play some defense down low, and so far, he hasn't been able to offer the level of resistance that Johnny really would like.
Then he's going to learn as he gets old. He's going to play defense with his chest and not just rely on size and athleticism, because Deli's going to go right through his chest. And just like that, Perth Wildcats have got themselves to the foul line. Take note of this moment, Jack. 2:43 on the clock. Bryce to the foul line. Actually, he tried to steal Keanu's free throws as Keanu took the line. Drew used to steal people's free throws back in the day.
When I wasn't confident they could put them in, we figure, why not have a crack and see if we can get away with it? And I reckon They'd be good at least a dozen times throughout all my time. We got away with it. No problem.
Tended to get away with a lot.
Well,
More
not
than
so
most.
much just pinching other people's free throws.
Keanu Pinder takes care of both.
Doolittle comes back in for Keanu Pinder. So they go with a small lineup now.
Just keeping an eye on Jesse Wagstaff at the moment, Drewy. Out there for the back end of this quarter, and it looks like he's making a real effort to try and protect Bryce Cotton a little bit, to get out there and try and give some support to their staff.
That's what Jesse does. Them two they're in sync. You got to send a double.
Here they go in again. They're going it Henshaw down low.
Trying to stay in front, but Dellavedova muscles in.
Well, he got the shot that they were looking for. Although it was a miss, I think you're right. You have to start thinking of at least digging and trying to not let him get there. Ben Henshaw's got to do a better job just trying to deny it. Prevention's better than cure. Don't let him catch it on the box.
Cotton with 7 on the clock. Can't score. Wagstaff, offensive rebound, and puts it back in.
The KG vet from Metro State just does all the little things, all the basketball fundamentals.
We were having a talk to him before the start of the game, and I said, there's a stat on my sheet that suggests that you should be on the floor a lot, because including finals, Perth is scoring 112.1 points per 40 minutes, while Jesse Wagstaff is on the floor. It's the highest mark of any qualified player in the league. So the data saying Jesse doing his job.
And the ring collector ties it up at 44. The Wildcats have not led at any stage in this game so far. They are making a big run on the way to half-time. They're throwing the challenge back at Melbourne United. But in this game, Ian Clark's a permanent answer.
That was a Belmont on Belmont crime. Dylan Windler got caught up on that screen. Ian Clark made him pay the price.
Windler hasn't scored in this one. He's 0 of 3 from the field. And 3 shots is not enough for him.
Dellavedova puts the ball on the floor, this time guarded by Cotton. It leaves Shea Ili wide open. His radar's been a little off this season. Out of play.
Rob Lowe did the old thing we used to do back in the day, back in high school. Show the coach you give an effort, die for a ball that you know you can't get, but it looks like you're trying. No. I respect the big fella for laying it out.
Being a bit harsh there, Damon.
Okay.
I thought he knew that he wasn't a strong chance, but he thought there might have been a remote chance. But I think he asked the question to the body, and the body didn't respond like he was hoping.
10 points for Bryce Cotton, 4 of 7 from the field. He's starting to find more ways to create more space. Up top for Doolittle. He's having a half.
That's the advantage of Bryce Cotton. There was a soft double and show on the on ball, and the pick and pop is wide open, and no rotation from the weak side. Late call on the penetration. Keanu Pinder doesn't like it. Just trying to calm the big fella down.
Jack White don't like the fact that Nico was on the baseline and just chose to not call it. This looks like it's a foul every day of the week.
I'm not so sure, Damon. I can understand why maybe Keanu Pinder maybe has reason to be a little upset. Maybe he came down a little strong and hit him on the head after the ball. Oh, dear.
That's shanked, that first one. NBL social media channels all throughout the playoffs. Best way to stay involved, you can follow at NBL and get closer to the action than you ever have before on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, and even Snapchat.
Are we snapping?
Oh, what? What in the world?
I don't know what that feels like. Yuri, I know you don't.
Well, the first one was really short, so you're thinking, as a shooter, you're going to make sure you're long. If you're going to miss it long. He was shorter on the second.
Yeah, what kind of air was that?
That's that fresh Victorian air, Damon, that we talk about. I'm in shock.
There we go. There we go. We've seen this movie. Players have got to realize when you are in the bonus, you got to be aggressive and put pressure on the refs. Now, Melbourne United don't like this call. The jury, we will both want this foul right here. Would we want that in the hips? What do you think?
Yeah, it's one that there was certainly the contact there. And you're right, they're going to put a lot of pressure, and it's what you should do. It's all guard, even up the top, on-ball screen, with the way that Melbourne United are trying to show on those on-ball screens, and you just drive into the legs to try and get a call.
Oh, wow.
Rob Lowe with a dive.
25.
Now he got the call, but from where we're sitting, Dane,
and we sitting in some pretty good seats, Drewy. And
it looked like there might have been some
if
exaggeration.
only we had an insurance company that sponsored replays that could show us this one, because he went head first. Straight.
Keanu Pinder with a behaviour warning as well. High emotion inside John Cain Arena. Clark has been excellent in the opening half. That's 16 points to be the game's leading scorer.
At 70%. As soon as he saw Jesse jump out there, he already knew what was going to happen.
A couple of seconds difference between the game and shot clock. Cotton a willing passer. And when you've got Christian Doolittle in this sort of form, why not?
On the rebound, Matthew Dellavedova or Jack White.
Jack White.
And they called it, they both had a crack at him. And this is going to be helpful to Windler, because he's yet to score. So the good effort there, you see Dellavedova with the push, but it wasn't on him. There was an earlier one on Jack White. But they're blanketing him 0 for 3 from the field. And one of those threes was just a Hail Mary from almost the center line.
Had an injury-interrupted season, Dylan Windler, with the Perth Wildcats, but you mentioned his positivity on the floor, Drew. When he scores 15 or more, Perth are undefeated this season.
Yeah.
He's an X-factor player that maybe we haven't spoken enough about.
And that's why you've got to get him to at least 15. Now he's only got 2, 86% free throw shooter. Knocks them down. Need to get him some more looks.
Clark at the buzzer. That just jumps out. The Perth Wildcats have trailed for all but the last 30 seconds of the first half. And on the road, they take a really important one-point lead into the main break.
They showed a lot of poise and patience early when it looked like Melbourne United were getting on top of them. They had Bryce held him to like 2 shot attempts. They just stayed the course and played basically 4-on-4. Christian Doolittle kept the scoreboard ticking over. Keanu Pinder chipped in with his 10. And now they go into the half with a 1-point lead.
Some discussion for John Riley and his coaching group at halftime. But Ian Clark has been absolutely sensational. He's got 16 and he's with Kels.
I see you have been sensational for this first half, but I want to ask about the turnaround. 6 points up at the quarter, but now you're down by 1 at the half. What happened in that second term?
We just didn't stick to our principles, our game plan. They got a few offensive rebounds, got second chance points, and we fouling them. In the first quarter, we didn't foul once. Second quarter, I think we was in a bonus early, so that's the thing we got to change in the second half. Chris got going early, you got going in that second quarter. How do you keep creating those shots for yourselves? Just trying to be aggressive, read what the defense is giving us right now. You know, we're getting our shots. They might change in the second half, so we got to be ready to move the ball. Excuse me. And just take what the defense gives us. Well done for the first half. Good luck for the second. Thank you.
It is the Wildcats who lead by 1. The halftime show with thanks to basketball.com.au is up next. Felix, Coates and Halls to take you through the first half.
Well, we have just until three-quarter time to get your bids in for our silent auction item tonight. It is a sporting ball signed by the entire NBL25 team, starting at $150. All you need to do is use that QR code on the screen. What a wonderful piece of memorabilia from NBL25. You can get it, you just need to be the highest bidder.
Well, Melbourne United led all the way up in this half until 30 seconds left. And Bryce Cotton and the Wildcats snuck the lead back, and they lead by one. Bryce Cotton and the big three for the Wildcats leading the way for United. Ian Clark as CG43 sits on 3 fouls in foul trouble early. Peter Hurley, Leonard Copeland here, all thanks to basketball.com.au. What is jumping out?
I mean, it's a very even game. No surprise there. If you have a look, the same amount of field goals attempted. The threes, not too much difference there. The free throws, Melbourne came out hot. Perth did really well to respond. I actually think the Wildcats are going to halftime very, very happy with themselves.
Look, you're right. It's going to be a tight game. You know these guys are going to play for their soul. They're coming out playing hard, and this is what we expected.
Well, you look at the halftime there and you can see some dejected players from Melbourne United because they looked like they were going to take this game by the throat. But the Perth Wildcats, there's one thing we know. You don't write them off at any stage. But we'll start with Melbourne United. Ian Clark has been the man. We spoke all week in the lead-up. Who will be the X factor? We have our answer.
Yeah, he was on fire. 7 of 11 from the field and 16 points in 11 minutes. He was that spark off the bench to keep them going. I mean, some of the other guys were down, but they got him the ball early, and he knocked his shots down.
He was terrific, and again, when Chris Golding got hot early, but then everyone else kind of struggled, they were missing shots at the rim. Ian Clark came in. This man's just been in the country for only a couple of days, went back to college to have his jersey retired in the FIBA break, has not missed a beat, and from all reports, he's been falling at practice since returning from the States, feeling good about himself, and he's putting up numbers.
Something about that 21 during the playoff time, boy.
Oh, what I would do to go back to college, but it wouldn't be to have my jersey retired, I'll tell you that much. We look at the Blackmore shot chart right now. He's doing it from all over the floor, and you know what? Overall, he's being aggressive, which is what Melbourne United need from him right now.
You got to understand, he has more experience than anybody. He's won a championship in the NBA. This guy comes off the bench, but he'd probably be starting for anybody else.
Pete, what caught your eye in that first half around the way they were guarding Bryce Cotton?
I've been keeping an eye on the Bryce Cotton, Shea Ely situation, and there's a couple of clips that really stand out. Right back to the start of the game, they're the main ones that I was looking at. The very first possession of the game. So the game has just started. I expected that after Shea Ely was going to harass, that the first screen would be illegal. I thought they were going to set a tone here. Luchkiana Pinder just slipped out of it. You all of a sudden allow Shea Ely to realise, you know what, I can dictate things, which is exactly what he did in the first quarter. Bryce Cotton struggled. Look at the way that he face guards in here and to put it through. This is all because you set a tone at the start saying, we don't need to play physical. Dylan Windler doesn't really set a screen there. They don't do anything, and all of a sudden they took Cotton out of the game. Now Cotton got back into the game in the second quarter, and it was off better reads. It was better reads in the play. This one right here, Shea Ely on the bench. You know what, how do we catch the defense sleeping? Don't set a screen, do a handoff. He gets some space, no surprise, that's what greatness does.
Well, this one is set for a cracking finish, we know that. Is this sustainable from the Perth Wildcats? Well, they certainly hope so, but tomorrow, the Illawarra Hawks, the benchmark all season, taking on the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. It is set to be a cracking contest, and maybe that's going to be where we find the grand finalists.
Absolutely, look, that team's led the season all year long. Can they maintain that? Can they get a win at home?
I'm looking forward to it, and again, and 2 easy team names to pronounce, so you should be happy, Billy.
21 games on the pine. They got plenty to go. Beware the starving dog. But don't forget, Amy presents When Dreamers Become Next Stars. Follow Dash Daniels' journey as he takes the next step in his basketball career from intense training to game time dominance. The rising NBL Next Star showcases his elite skills and determination. This right here is a glimpse into the making of a future star where dreams turn into reality on the court.
Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again.
Growing up, it was just a sport that I loved to play. So, ever since I was born up to 12 years old, I realized I was getting a lot better and realized that the pro path could be, a way for me. Back then, in the backyard, it was really my 2 older brothers. They really competed a lot. I was 5 years younger.
Dash was dragged along to every tournament of the 2 older brothers. The videos of 4 years old already dribbling under his legs and so forth, which you didn't think about, and all of a sudden you're checking on where's your 3rd child. Oh, there he is, and the ball.
Under!
Finally being able to commit somewhere sets the goal to one thing only, to get to the NBA, so it feels great.
The good thing about our club is, we've got a track record of helping guys get to the NBA.
The Matthew Dellys, the Jack Whites, they're the vets, they've been there, they've done that, and Dean, he's a great coach, so they're going to help me a lot.
Lucky you're with Amy.
Take your game from the local court to the big time. Step onto an NBL court after the final buzzer. backing local ballers is just the beginning.
Third quarter about to get underway with thanks to Bunnings backing ballers. It's great to see some young hoopers out on the court at halftime, trying to replicate their heroes, and they've certainly seen a few tricks out there in the first half. A big shout out to Bunnings, but it is Perth who lead 50-49. Damon Lowry and Andrew Gaze. Bryce Cotton has 11 points and he's finding ways to make it happen.
It's hard to get a feel for which team would have the momentum right now. Obviously, Perth up by a point on the road will feel good about themselves. Dean is probably thinking we scored 49 points and we're not even really clicking offensively yet. So it's kind of hard right now. So I guess this first 5 minutes, Drew, will tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, my word, and they withstood some challenges. Perth, Melbourne United came out strong, had a decent lead for big chunks of that first half, but to the Wildcats' credit, they hung in there, and Chris Golding doesn't come out and is not starting this second half with those 3 fouls.
Does that surprise you a little bit?
It does a little bit, but given the way Ian Clark played in that first half with the 16 points and 7 of 11 from the field, it does make a bit of sense.
Pinder misses one from underneath. Premium look from Cotton. White runs the floor at the other end. He tips it back in.
Jack is one guy that if I'm Dellavedova, if I'm Shea Illy, I have got to get him going. Do not just let the game pass Jack White by. He's kind of in a little bit of a funk right now. I got to get him out in transition. And some of those picks, they're switching, Drew. So Jack White will have Bryce Cotton on him, but they're not going to him in the block.
Yeah, and a lot of it can be a confidence thing. Those 2 free throw misses in the first half showed that perhaps he's a little down on confidence when you're throwing up an air ball. And you're right, those plays around the basket where he can just use his strength and go at someone is a good way to get him going.
Wildcats change direction here. Cotton couldn't get open. Pinder unsuccessful. Great work from Henschel. The hustle on the offensive glass. That'll keep him in the good graces of the coach.
Yeah, well, Dudley wanted to pull his hair out, missed that box out. One thing about Benny Henschel, he will continue to play. Young guys got to be able to not let a mistake just derail them and just wreck their confidence. Benny just keeps playing. I love it.
Rebounding last year was one of the weakest spots in the Perth Wildcats lineup. They were bottom 3 in the competition in all 3 rebounding stats. This year, they've turned it around. They've changed the way that they've recruited and the way that they're preparing for games. Top 3 in the league for offensive rebounds and rebounds in total. It's been a big turnaround for them.
No, well, it is, and even in the first half, it was there on display. They won the first half rebound count 23-19, and also included 7 offensive boards to Melbourne United's 3.
Dellavedova has 6 points in that first half. All night long, he's been trying to isolate Ben Henschel one-on-one. Henschel starting to work it out.
Yeah, if you just force him into a turnaround jumper, you've done your job.
Doolittle forces his way in. He cannot be stopped, Christian Doolittle. That's 17.
Well, confidence can hurt you both offensively and defensively, and that time Jack White, Doolittle just balled his way to the basket, got to his spot, and way too easy.
Perth leading by 3. If you have just joined us, they trailed for all but the last 30 seconds of the first half. Nice hustle from Marcus Lee, and Ian Clark finishes it off.
Unlucky. That was great defense by Devin Windler and Canu Pinder. It's just where the ball bounces sometimes.
Pinder misses Cotton. The idea was right. Execution wasn't there, though. We'll back it out. Lee with the size advantage down low on Ben Henschel. You don't see him with his back to the basket often, but he draws a foul.
I was just about to say, how smart does a guy have to be for Marcus Lee to get the ball in the block? So he goes in because he got Ben Henschel guarding him, but then Shea Illy cut and brought Dylan Windler into the mix. Got very lucky there that he fouled him.
Oh, yeah,
behaviour warning. No need to yell that out across the court. Behaviour warning, red coach.
One, maybe a little tough on Dylan Windler. Perhaps the slight, and I mean slight, moving forward is what the officials saw, and John really, from his position, may not have seen that very slight moving forward and gets a behaviour warning.
Can I get a warning before the behavior warning? Can you warn me that you're gonna likely give me behavior warning so I can chill? Does it just have to go straight to that? A pre-warning, Drew.
Probably been a couple of times this season. You should have got one at one point. Henschel pulls the trigger. Nice work by Lee. Knocked that ball free to Dellavedova. Head down to the basket, drives and can't finish off. Did all of the hard work, loose ball.
But that's Dellavedova just unaware that there was no one around. He thought that there was a big boy coming from the weak side. Oh, and an offensive foul. Oh, Doolittle.
Michael Avon. You don't like the angle that he had. Let's see.
He's allowed to move.
Not for mine.
Oh, I think John Millie's going to challenge it.
He's left it until the very last second. He was standing right next to where we were, John, really. His team couldn't get a replay up in time, so he looked up at the big screen here at John Cain Arena, and that was enough.
I'm not sure he saw the right thing. And the first impressions was, gee, that looked a little tough, but a look here, Jack White.
Oh, that's a block. He moved to his right, Drew. He's backpedaling. He slides to his right. Right there. He's not set. This is getting overturned. And I'm not one for wasting a challenge in a tie game. Doolittle's not in any kind of foul trouble. I think Johnny really just goes, you know what? I'm just not copping that from you, Michael Aylen. What do you reckon, Drew? Call it.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as obvious as yours. But I think that there's a reasonable chance that this is going to be successful. But yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence in this one. And that's the thing. It's a block charge. It's an unsuccessful challenge, so they believe that it was the correct call.
So the coach's challenge is unsuccessful. Scott Butler is in the replay centre. Scott, talk us through that one, please.
All right, guys. So Jack White establishes legal guarding position early on in the sequence, and then slides laterally and backwards. Contact is completely down the torso. Offensive foul will stand.
Yep. Righto. Thank you, Scott.
Hey, Scott, I don't argue with the referees, man, but I disagree with you with all due respect. But
so that's 2 fouls to Christian Doolittle.
We'll keep it moving.
2 to Windler. 2 to Keanu Pinder as well. That'll be big for Jack White's confidence.
I like how Jack White did not hesitate. He's got to get himself going. You got to be aggressive.
He's had some frustrations tonight. Back out to Henschel. Shot clock winds down to 10. Pinder blocked by Lee. One of the league's best shot blockers. He's hunting again. Pinder with the tip in. That's smart.
Well, offensive rebounding is an issue. And that's the 8th now for the Perth Wildcats. And a lot of those leading to very good scoring options. And we spoke about Jack White just a minute ago where he looked down on confidence at both ends of the floor. But he gets a good charging foul called and hits a couple of buckets, and he's back in the groove.
Pinder with his back to the basket, it goes. Keanu Pinder finds a way.
On one end, Jack White gets a tough bucket. Christian Doolittle kicks it inside to Keanu, and Keanu's going to find a way to get it up on the rim. And all of a sudden, foul discipline, Drewy, is starting to go out the window.
Chris Golding comes back in for Matthew Dellavedova. He has just been super aggressive as well on the offensive end. Keanu Pinder, he's put up 15 field goal attempts, 6 of 15. And when you consider that Bryce Cotton's only taken 7 on 4 or 11, one of those because of the D they're playing on Bryce.
Cotton dropped a knock off that screen. Three ball is no good. Keanu Pinder in his last 3 games averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds. He's in a good frame of mind. Here come Melbourne United back the other way. Clark's a big game player.
That's one thing, Benny Henschel can score that, obviously. This is just how they play. They're not going to change how they play it. Johnny really went a little too far. Chris Reed didn't like it. Teed him up.
He's got to be careful now because it didn't look like he got real bang for his buck on that tech.
You can't go out in the cylinder to put out
my guy. You called him for a foul in the first
step
half.
off the court.
He has to be consistent.
Okay, no problem.
You saw it.
I don't know exactly what
you saw it.
Hey! If Johnny could have spoke like that to Chris previously,
well, I think he
wouldn't
did.
have a tech.
I think he did, but I think there was a few more adjectives thrown in the first time that perhaps earned the tech foul.
When I'm looking at the shot jury that Benny Hitchell took over Marcus Lee, yep, could have went in, but it didn't, and it led to a layup up the other end. It cost me.
Doolittle guarded by Bowen. Marcus Lee swats that one out of there and then changes that shot. He's having a presence in the third quarter. And Clark from pass from Clark goes astray. Winler still exploring any chance that he can to get involved in the game offensively. Hinder with the left hand, misses another one from the painted area.
Dylan Winler got to let that one fly. When he watches this replay back, he's going to be shocked at how he's turning down some shots.
That's an airball from Ian Clark.
Well, Ian Clark asked for a sub about a minute and a half ago, and Dean Vickerman looked the other way because he knew his man had 20 and thinking, hey, get a little rest out on the floor. But after that last elbow, and Dean just explained to him, I wanted to push you. So he did, and perhaps in hindsight, he might have taken him out when he wanted to come out.
Let that be a lesson to you guys thinking about calling yourself a sub. You're going to shoot an air ball. Karma is Bryce Cotton in transition. Everybody relaxes a little bit. Bryce keeps playing. He's offensively fitter than you. You can't relax for a second.
Here he is. He gets his shoulders in front of Shea Illy and then cuts him off. And just the body control and the smarts, the change of pace or the pace of play when he's got the ball to draw the foul is a skill, and he does it really well.
You can check out all the latest news and info on NBL.com.au, and of course download the NBL app. That's where it's all happening. Golding back into the game.
Making up for lost time. Comes in, and a simple pin down, and he gets that wide open.
He took them for 46 earlier in the season. He's had a frustrating night, Pinder. Not the first time around, but kept going and found a way to score.
Got the work rate of two normal humans. He just needs his import Dylan Winner to come along for the ride. Same play.
Golding had to give it up. Rob Lowe more than happy to pick and pop.
Yeah, you can't do that with Rob Lowe. That's bread and butter for him.
A turnover, and Ty Webster's got an issue with his shoulder.
And you can't give it to the big fella in the backcourt. He just makes a poor decision. When the Rob Lowe, they make him the ball carrier. Flynn Cameron comes over and says, my bad, and yes, it was. It was a bad decision to give it to him.
Come on, Ty Webster.
Flynn Cameron just picked the crossover.
So this is here, no, and there's Rob Lowe. He gives it to him. Now, he shouldn't be doing that. Just take it yourself, push it down the floor, and let the big man trail.
This is what United are good at. When scoring gets a little bit difficult, Chris can all of a sudden go 3-6-9. Hampshire's fine. They got to make sure, because he's going to start hunting. And if he's coming off those screens with Rob Lowe, you got a decision to make. Do you switch? Do you try to lock and trail and double? Because Rob Lowe's going to pick and pop.
It's the sort of game style that's starting to suit Melbourne United. It's Elijah Pepper. Shook Flynn Cameron out of his boots. Doolittle inside. Lowe had it, then he lost it, then he got it back. He's still fighting for it. All's well that ends well for Melbourne United. Golding stepping back. You just cannot do that.
3-6, all we need is the 9, and we singing. CG's got a sense of the moment.
Look at the Amy replay. He knew he had Pepper there. The little fake in the crossover, and then it's the step back in rhythm. And that's bread and butter for Chris Golding, and it's a thing of beauty.
Heat check in effect.
Well, he's up to 16. He's 3 of 8 from the three-point line.
The big concern for the Wildcats right now is Ty Webster, we just saw, down in the tunnel. Kelsey Brown will have more on that shortly. It's been a shorter rotation from John Riley at the back end of the season. He would have been relying on Ty Webster to be a part of that. Cotton had his shot partially blocked. And then Aquera throws it to the bench of his old team.
It hasn't been a good couple of minutes for the Perth Wildcats, and during this period they've had some good looks. They haven't been able to finish some plays around the rim, and Chris Golding is going to draw a foul on Bryce Cotton.
You are completely out of your mind if you think Chris Golding ain't shooting the next shot.
This is a 9-2 run for Melbourne right now, at a very crucial stage of the game. Golding off the inbound this time.
Oh, my goodness.
Timeout, Perth. Chris Golding throwing flames in game 1.
The last 3 triples from the Gladiator. 3-6-9, Drewy.
Yeah.
You know the rest.
It's a little hesitation from David Aquera. Windler's beat. He's running to that corner. He just needed to stay with that a little longer to give Windler just a count to catch up, because Chris Golding doesn't need a lot of opportunity to let it fly.
They did a pretty good job of keeping him quiet in the first half, but in this third quarter, he has found a way to take over. 19 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 4 knockdowns from deep.
He's the guy that can break it wide open when scoring gets a little tight. Nobody can put on a scoring spree for the United like this man can. Biggest lead since they led 20-10. And now Perth, they got to get some offense going, and it's got to be by you-know-who, number 11. Bryce got to find a way, but I am perplexed at Dylan Windler. 3 field goal attempts. Come on, man.
So Bryce Cotton on screen now has 14 points. He's doing everything that he can, but he has only had 9 field goal attempts for the game, which for Bryce is a low number. So this is a really crucial point in the game that we mentioned about what can they do here to get more out of their number 1 man.
Yeah, they need to try and get a little bit more separation with some screening actions, and I think they'll put it in his hands, maybe running more as the point and let him start with it. There's a screen, and that's a good screen.
And Kyle Bowen,
that's exactly what they needed to do. It's not complicated. He had a choice of a flex cut or a high screen. That makes Shea Ili make a decision. So he bites on the screen low, and then he gets caught trailing, and a very good screen by Christian Doolittle.
What did Kyle Bowen think Bryce was going to do when he came off that screen? You got to sell out.
Yeah, but and that's because he had choices, though. He could have run the flex cut off the baseline screen, and there was one coming from the high as well, and that makes it hard for Shea Ili.
I still say you're out of your mind if you think this ain't going up.
It's going up. Just a little bit deep. Cotton with a full head of steam. Push this ball up to David Aquera, and Dylan Windler. He's had an iffy sort of night as the foul's on Melbourne, but from a Perth point of view, Kelsey, what's the latest on Ty Webster?
Well, Ty Webster hasn't just gone into the tunnel, he's gone all the way back to the room, so I doubt we will see him for the rest of this quarter. And he was in quiet distress when he walked down the tunnel as well, so he could be out for the rest of the game, but I'll keep an update on that. And in regards to what John really said at that timeout, it was all about Bryce Cotton and helping him get free. A little bit more help from Dylan Windler as well.
Nice work from Pepper to crash the glass, but he carried that ball out of play.
What Melbourne United in general have done as well is taken away the 3-ball, where throughout the course of the season, the Perth Wildcats have been very good. They take 30, almost 31 a game, but they're second in the league in 3-point field goal percentages at 37, and they've restricted to only 17 3-point field goal attempts and only made the 5 at 29%. So for all the other things that are going on, just keeping him off the 3-point line has been a key success. And Chris Golding is seeing it like a hula hoop, and that is a thing of beauty.
That is deadly. from long range. Doolittle in the mid-range can't score.
So smooth. Find him, Shea. Shea.
It's an 11-point lead for Melbourne right now. Clark steps out of play.
And when Chris is in this frame of mind, the shots, that is a tough shot. They never look rushed. He catches it, he sees it, he gets his eyes on the target, and it's all in rhythm. You can just see the game flowing to him.
He's a shooting contortionist too. He don't need to be balanced.
Yeah.
17 for Cotton. He attracts the double team, as does Doolittle. Melbourne are trying to make other players beat them right now, besides Doolittle and Cotton, and it's working.
That is a great D by Rob Lowe. He's sold out. Here he is. It's all happening. Chris has drawn so much attention, but Rob Lowe sold out on that Bryce Cotton screen, made him go to wow, Cash. Wow, Cash. Forget what I was about to say.
It wouldn't have been as good as that.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Cuts it back to 10. He's got 20 for the game now, the benchmark. Golding again! Just falls short.
Foul. That's what he'll do. He'll force you into those really tight closeouts. Henshaw doesn't like it as he curls off it.
Drury, when you got a guy that can literally shoot anything in any kind of, like, he doesn't need to square up to give you a chance on defense to kind of gather yourself. So that means he can shoot it in a split second, and Benny Henshaw was already late. Yeah. That could have easily been a 4-point play that goes in.
And he makes the tough ones look easy because his footwork is awkward. Normally you're there, you're trying to square up, your right foot slightly ahead of your left, and as a right-hander, but he can come off, and his left foot can be pointing the wrong way, right foot all over the place, but his upper body and his strength through his legs allows him to still have really good touch and also helps him draw those fouls, but he's missed a couple of free throws.
White crashed the offensive glass, still going. 30 seconds before three-quarter time. Cotton on the move. He's just too good.
He's going to keep the pressure on. Rob Lowe did an initial decent job of slowing him down, but Bryce was too committed. We know where this ball should go, Jack. Chris got 15 this quarter.
He's guarded by Keanu Pinder at the moment, who's desperately calling for a switch. That is not a place that he wants to be right now. Nice pass from Dellavedova. Lowe didn't finish it off. If anyone could do it, it'd be Bryce, but he couldn't get it away. A big move by Melbourne in that third quarter, and a 10-point advantage heading into three-quarter time. 81-71. It's game one of the semi-final series at John Cain Arena.
quarter time here in the Hungry Jacks NBL. It's game 1 of the playoffs, and it was a Chris Goulding masterclass. 15 points in the quarter off 4 spectacular threes. Things they love to see at John Cain Arena is that man knocking them down. And for the Perth Wildcats, Bryce Cotton, he's got 22 points, but he needs to get going if Perth can get over the line here.
He sure does, Kelston. He needs a couple to come with him.
A very, very late whistle.
Yeah.
But was it the right whistle? That's
all right. I don't mind if it's late, as long as it's the right call. And he does come across, and from that angle, that looked like it was the correct call. Have I missed something in the news? Almanza, he's a guy that...
We're going to coach a challenge here, by the way.
Oh.
Which is an interesting call by Dean Vickerman. He waited until the very last second.
10 seconds into the quarter.
10 seconds in, and a coach's challenge.
Yeah, well, he clearly thinks that there was no foul.
Did he go past him?
He did. There was a little bit of contact. I think technically it's the right call, but I don't think any of us would have complained if it wasn't called.
I don't like it. I'm saying
is the contact enough?
No. I'm saying play on.
I'm not sure.
I mean, what he fouled him with
there's a strong chance that this will be a successful challenge. And it's unsuccessful. That was just enough contact, I suppose.
Seems that way. So confirmation, the coach's challenge is unsuccessful. So the foul will stand on Jack White. Scott Butler in the replay centre. Tell us why.
Guys, this is a shooter protection play, so Pinder leaves the ground. The defender is actually sliding across to his left and underneath Pinder while he's airborne. The shooter needs to be protected until they get back to the ground. There's enough contact on that play to call the defensive foul, so we'll stay off that foul on the floor.
Yeah, I imagine, Scott, that would be the judgment you're making. Was it enough? And clearly you deemed that it was.
Yeah, correct. That's right. So we're looking at obviously the amount of contact on the play as well, but there's enough contact in that play for me. They should leave that foul there.
Thank you, Scott. Good explanation there.
Getting back to my earlier point, as we see, I believe burgers are on the line here. Almanza, is there an explanation? I know there was the FIBA break and he had those other commitments overseas. Chris Goulding from the car park.
That was adventurous.
Quick trigger, but for a guy who's been averaging almost 18 minutes or 17 minutes a game, we haven't seen him in this one.
Smooth by Dylan Windler. Still can't find it. His first field goal of the night. You can hear Dean Vickerman screaming after that Jesse Wagstaff putback.
Yeah, Ian Clark missed his box out. Good to see Dylan Windler actually attack the hoop and get his shot up.
He spreads the floor so much, Damon, when he's aggressive, Dylan Windler.
And we've seen him. He's a sniper, but like he's just in a different frame of mind right now.
Shot clock at 5 for Dellavedova. It'll have to be Rob Lowe.
Feels like the lead is bigger than 7.
On their last 5 on the road, the Wildcats. But this is a big challenge that they're faced with right now. Tough finish from Henschel.
Really good use of the body. Went into the chest of Lowe. Still good enough to keep the body control. Nice touch off the glass.
They've scored the first 5 of the quarter.
Spot on it. It was only a 5-point ball game, but the sense that normally we're just getting on top, but they're chipping away at it.
You got to be careful with these professional fouls. You got to get yourself into the bonus. That's the last thing you want to do if you're Melbourne United.
Just a couple of minutes from Jesse Wagstaff to start this quarter. He's plus 10 for the night. On a night where plus-minus numbers are low, Damon, he's the outlier right now in a positive one.
That's it. Add that up, Drury. Add another 10 to Jesse's tally. That is at least 4 of those layups that just rolled out for Keanu.
United by 5. Couple of minutes played in this final term. That rattles out for Goulding.
And I respect the fact that Bryce is actually taking the responsibility of guarding Chris. It's rare when you see 2 superstars guarding each other.
Pass inside. Doolittle points waved away. Kelsey, what's going on with the Wildcats?
Well, I asked for Gazy around Ethan Almanza. They told me that he's just returned from a massive flight. He did play for his national team in the FIBA break, so that is just a coach's decision. He's a little bit tired at the moment. And for Ty Webster, he's back on the bench, he's taped up, and they're trying to make it look like he's ready to go, but he's still in a lot of discomfort, guys, so that could be something that plays out over the week.
Almanza's tired. You know how you say that in Spanish, Drew?
No, I don't.
Poco cansado.
A little tired, isn't it?
A little tired.
Thank you, Danny.
That's a good action, really good action, and fine by Bryce Cotton. Love the way Bryce is using himself to create the attention and finding his teammates.
7 unanswered points in the quarter. Melbourne with another miss. This game is changing before our very eyes.
Yeah, it is. Jack Perth just hanging around. You feel like Melbourne United didn't take full advantage of that Chris Golding barrage in that third quarter. This is anybody's game, just how we like it with 7.5 to go.
Melbourne, one of the best fourth quarter teams in the competition. They've won 16 final terms across the regular season. They're going to have to draw on all of that tonight.
Flop! Oh, no! Oh, he was falling before he got to him. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe not.
That's a good call.
Maybe not. I'm sorry, Marcus.
That's another example of Keanu Pinder. Just the aggressive nature. He's taken 20 field goal attempts. And he's also been to the free throw line 5 times.
But he tried to give it up, but Bryce couldn't get open because he's in a sleeper hold.
Clark got away from Henschel. Great pass inside. Marcus Lee scores from underneath. Importantly for Melbourne, their first points of the quarter. It's been all Perth to start the fourth. Pinder on the way through.
With the left. Wow. Nice early pick in the backcourt for Bryce to get him going downhill.
Illy no good. He was caught up with Pinder, so Cotton has a different assignment this trip down the floor. And couldn't quite access Doolittle.
It's got a little out of control in both these teams. Very terminal on the offensive end. It's all about head down, get to the rim. The Perth Wildcats have been doing a better job of it in this fourth period.
Kyle Bowen coming into the scorer's table now. Shot clock at 5. Top of the key is Jack White. That's deep.
I say you probably don't need the double. Maybe force Marcus to see if he can score. Is Chris Golding still in Melbourne? What the hell he doing sitting over there?
Big offensive rebound by Doolittle. Henschel, catch and shoot. That team's not having their best night shooting the 3-ball.
5.5 to go. I'm looking for CG to come out here and see if we can put this thing to bed.
Henschel all up and in on Illy. The shot clock winds down.
Foul. Henschel. Second. Personal foul.
I think Jack White's done a good job of playing himself into this game. He was extremely quiet at the half. He checks out now, 12 points, 50% to 9 rebounds. And Dean heard me. Dean heard me, put the gladiator back in. You can't be messing around.
It's good minutes by Quinn Cameron tonight. Hasn't played a lot, only played the 8 minutes, but he's come in and given his teammates some rest. And it's not always about the big numbers, it's about your role. He played his role well tonight.
Illy slips over, Dellavedova scraps after the loose ball.
You know, if you're at Perth, my old ex-teammate Grant Kruger in a very similar situation. You don't want to tie this ball up right now. Let him just let Delly stay down there because you're going to get a shot clock violation. But they tied it up, jump ball, possession arrow, stays with Melbourne.
Got 1.9 seconds to work with.
1.9
teams would know and would rehearse what they do in these circumstances from underneath out of bounds with this amount of time remaining.
Normally dangerous off the lob in this situation. It's as tough gets for Dellavedova. Bowen knocked it back out wisely. Golding cashes in.
This one you can't be messing around. Don't be resting this dude anymore in this game, Drewy. Single-handedly gets up a dunk.
That's a good pass by Doolittle. When you are running away from the basket from the three-point line and still being able to get that shot off, it's remarkable by Chris Golding.
4 points is the lead now for Melbourne. The two stars go at it. Cotton v Golding. Pinder strips Lee of it.
Only a 4-point game, dude.
22 points for Bryce. He turns facilitator, as does Pinder. Ben Henschel with a big moment in game one.
Great patience by Bryce. He trusted Keanu to make the play. Keanu makes the extra pass.
The youngster knocks it down, and we have got ourselves a one-point ball game. But we've also got a certified flamethrower out there.
I don't know why that's not a switch. When you've got Bryce, Cotton, and Henschel at like for like, and they leave Chris Golding that wide open. That's just miscommunication.
Wow. And you can see Bryce trying to push Benny Henschel, like, get over there. Christian Doolittle comes back and gets the easiest of twos.
19-9 for Christian Doolittle in the game.
Comes again, Drewy, same thing.
Yeah, now they get it right, they switch.
That's arrogant. That's arrogance, Jack!
Over the top of the five-time MVP. He is shooting Perth to a game-line win, but Christian Doolittle's got other ideas.
Oh, there's plenty of time. This is back and forth. Amy replay. Chris Golding, there's the breakdown. Complete and total breakdown on the on-ball. This time, Bryce Cott, not much more he can do. He's up and in the grill, and Chris Golding, with that high release, able to get his shot off, and he is in a mood and a feeling that you love to have as a basketball player.
And on any other night, Damon, we'd be singing the praises. We'd be saying this is Christian Doolittle's night, but right now he's being overshadowed by Golding, only just.
Oh, Lord, how do...
9 made threes for the night. He's burning Perth again.
Again, it's another breakdown that allows him so wide open.
Pinder spun into trouble, gets it to drop, and the Wildcats keep finding ways to score.
Jack, we've seen this movie. Chris went for 46 the last time we was in here.
He's got 36 right now. Dellavedova on the lob for Lee.
And that was all created by Chris Golding. Bryce was hugging him. Now Chris is a great picker.
Keanu just lost vision. He was right there on Lee, but lost vision. They keep coming up with scores. They're hanging in this game by being able to score. See Pinder there? He just kept his vision on Dellavedova. He's in the right position, but loses vision of the man. He comes behind him. And when you've got an elite athlete like Lee, you can just throw it up at the rim and he goes, gets it.
Chris is sitting over here on 36 points. 9 of 16 from downtown. I'm entertained.
I'd be worried if you weren't. You can predict the perfect NBL25 bracket. Just jump online to NBL.com.au for your chance to win. Great prizes up for grabs as well. Perth are hanging in. Pinder misses the second. 4 points separate these teams. And one man out there cannot miss. Dellavedova running the point. Golding explores this time with the left hand.
It's real easy sitting here, but some of the decisions, it seems like they're trying to just read what's going on with Chris Golding rather than having a real set, predetermined plan. Now, they got away with one there because Keanu Pinder, with the size on the closeout.
That's a foul.
But Chris is getting some really good looks.
He's causing havoc. They're trying to run that Spanish action. And if Chris is setting the back pick, you're worried you can't help off of that. And he's flaring on everything.
38 points in game 1 of the playoff series. And he's not done yet.
Well, if it's like for like, I can understand why you want to switch, but if it's not, you got to go better trapping him, making someone else beat you.
Cotton dumps it off for Pinder. He can't score.
Just a few of them.
He's left a lot of points out there tonight. 90 seconds remaining in game 1 of the playoff series.
Same play.
Melbourne by 6. Golding turns the corner. Bright lights. Big city. Chris Golding explodes.
You're out of your mind, Chris. You are completely out of your mind. 10 triples in the first semifinal.
102-93 at John Cain Arena. Goodness me.
Drewy, are you not entertained?
I'm very much entertained. And, you know, it's you're thinking, well, how do you stop this? And, yeah, he's got to put him in, but they'll go back, the Perth Wildcats, and look at some of these actions, and they're going to be disappointed in what they see. They need to be playing him like Melbourne United are playing Bryce Cotton. 100%. And they've got to be locked in and just be so Chris Golding conscious, and it doesn't seem like it's like that. There is just too much space, and you've seen here, he only needs a small crack in the window, and he is letting it fly. And right now, that ring, as long as he gets it off, he thinks it's going in.
Drewy, who's the personnel on Perth that can do that? Melbourne United can throw Shea Illy, they can throw Deli, even Flynn Cameron. Who does Perth have that can simulate that kind of thing?
102-93. Chris Golding's last knockdown is his 10th made 3 of the night. He's only the 3rd person in finals history to knock down 10 in a game. Bryce Cotton and John Riley are the others.
Well, they're going to look at this, the Perth Wildcats, and they're not going to be happy with the way in which they've played Chris Golding. And sure enough, he's made a couple like we saw on Bryce Cotton, where you go, hey, too good. Your offense is too good, but our defense was right there. We're in the grill. But the last few where they set the back screen and then come around for the handoff and just that little help on the back screen, you can't have the little help. He only needs a half a second, a small crack in the window, and he can let it fly.
Final minute here. It's going to take something pretty special from the Wildcats. They are up against it in a big way. It's a quick turnaround. Saturday night, we'll be at the Perth Entertainment Centre, RAC Arena, I should say. Wow, what a 4th quarter from the home team tonight.
I mean, when you lose to one guy, like, it's not 5-on-5. It's Melbourne United got a guy in Chris that can, by himself, blow the whole thing open. You just can't let it happen. He can be quiet for a quarter, quiet for 2, and then it's just an explosion.
Well, he didn't, and he should have been surprised. He got 46, wasn't it, earlier in the season? He's got 41 here on just a shooting clinic.
Doolittle unsuccessful.
Hey, but if I'm a Perth Wildcats fan, I'm upset, I'm disappointed, but I'm not discouraged or disheartened by what I've seen here this evening. This is a ball game, and even with that barrage by Chris, they were coming down, they were getting scores, and then it just put too much pressure on the offense and weren't able to curtail the Chris Golding onslaught. So tidy up a bit of work on Chris. Perhaps rethink your strategy of what you're going to do when he's setting screens off the ball, and this can easily be turned around.
I know this might sound ridiculous, but what the hell? Boxing one, Drew?
I think there's too much else out there to hurt you. Ian Clark, he came on, and we haven't seen as much of him in the second half, but if you're going to box and one, you might want to do it for little bits just to try and be disruptive, but I don't think that's sustainable over a long period of time. And John really waves the white flag.
To the applause of the home crowd, Chris Goulding sits down for the night with 41 points. He has broken Perth's hearts in game one. Melbourne wind the clock down. They ticked the first box. Game one on their home floor goes the way of Melbourne United. 105-93 off an absolute masterclass from Chris Goulding.
Great job. You do what you do at home. You protect home court. They did a good job limiting Bryce's effectiveness. Bryce still had a solid game, 22 points and 67%, but only the 12 attempts because they just won't let him play. Whereas Perth, Drewy, let Chris play.
Well, Bryce was still very good the way he played tonight. I love the way he was getting other people involved and making sure that he tried to find the counter for what Melbourne United was doing and creating opportunities. But the frightening thing is Chris Goulding has done this in 24 minutes of action. He's got 41 in 24 minutes of action because of that foul trouble. And he was a plus 17 on the night. It was a special night for Chris Goulding, coming off an extended break, fresh legs, and he looked to have some bounce and pop, and that stroke. It is, when he gets it going, he is the toughest player in the competition to guard from the perimeter.
Game 2 Saturday night at RAC Arena. And if required, we are back here on Tuesday night next week for Game 3. But this is big momentum for United to take to Perth on Saturday.
Melbourne United do not want to come back home.
Let's get over to Kelsey Brown with Chris Goulding.
41 points in 24 minutes. Chris, you've come over here very serious. I feel like you've still got a job to do, but you must have been feeling that out there.
Yeah, we had some really bad periods and some really good stuff, much like our season. So good to get a win. We got to be better going over there. We look forward to that game.
So much talk around game one and who wins this might go on to win this series. How important was it to get this win in front of the home crowd?
A win's a win. We love our crowd. They come out on Thursday night. They're loud. They stick with us through the ups and downs. So, as I said, good to squeak that one up, but I think we're going to watch video and be really confident about being better next game.
What was so good in that second half about finding shots for you?
Oh, finding shots. Just being aggressive, hunting, everyone looking to work off it as well. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll be happy with some stuff and we'll look to work on some stuff.
Well, I want to ask lastly about Christian Doolittle. He was pretty impressive for them. You're going to have to do a little bit to shut him down in the next game?
He's been great all year. He's a tough cover. He's a big guy with skill. So, yeah, we got to try and limit everyone. They're a potent offensive team.
We've loved what you've done. Congratulations. That was the equal most threes scored in a playoffs game ever. Congratulations.
46 points when they played in round 8. 41 tonight for Chris Goulding. 9 made threes in round 8. 10 of them tonight.
Wow. It just was built for the moment, wasn't it? And that's what they're going to need. You know, that he goes bunter, and if he doesn't do that, then they're going to struggle. But the fact is, if you take that away, now it's easier said than done, and we've said very similar things about Bryce Cotton. He has to be the priority and make someone else beat you.
Kelsey Brown has got Shea Ili. This is a good effort. He never talks.
Oh, no, I'm laughing at Gazy saying the word bunter, but I want to talk to Shea Ili. So much chat around the matchup with you and Bryce Cotton. You must be happy with how that panned out tonight.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say rest in peace to KB. You know, he's a massive influence on my career, and yeah, shout out to his family as well. But yeah, Bryce is an elite player, and as you can see, You know, every time he got open, he made a shot, and you know, we'll be better in Perth. And you know, 22 points is too many for Bryson and the scout that we've put out. So yeah, we need to do a better job.
Chris Golding, equal most threes scored in a playoffs game ever, any era you talk about. Can you just talk about what it's like to stand on the court while he's absolutely nailing those threes?
Yeah, he's another elite player. But yeah, I think the game was tied, and you know, we just ran the 2 series for CG and just told him to go to work, and he made some elite shots and some super tough ones. But yeah, that's how great he is, and you know, that's why we love him in our team.
I'm sure there's some vision to look at, but I want to know from what you've just feeling in the game at the moment, what are the things you need to clean up going into Saturday's game?
Not to dog on our bigs, but our bigs need to be a bit higher. I need to be a bit connected, and yeah, every time they get the ball, we need to be up and in on Bryce and know where he is at all times.
Lastly, how's the shin?
What was that, sorry?
How's the shin?
Oh, it's all right.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Doesn't do a lot of interviews, Shay Ely, but obviously happy with what's gone on tonight. Up next, Felix Coates and Halls are back with thanks to basketball.com.au. To wrap this all up, it is Melbourne who lead the playoff series 1-0. Winners 105 to 93 tonight.